I don't know what's going on with my hair. I don't know. Whatever. Hey, I'm Michelle Loves Books. Welcome back to my channel. It is time for the mid-year freakout tag. I can't believe how fast this year has gone. The first question is the best book that you have read so far in 2020. I've actually had a really decent year, and this question is always so hard to answer. My first knee-jerk reaction book is House of Earth and Blood, Crescent City by Sarah J. Maas. I really adore this book, and I think it's just because it is a fantasy, my favorite genre. However, there's a couple other books that I think definitely are up there on the list of best books, and that would be City of Girls and Turn of the Key, and also most recently read Truly Devious. These all were truly so good that it made it really difficult to choose just one. City of Girls was absolutely extraordinary. It's probably the most out of my comfort zone book that I have read so far, and I think that's why it deserves this. It's about a woman, the span of about 50 years since she was sent to live with her aunt in New York City in the 30s, I want to say, 20s. Maybe it's 20s. She's just very progressive for that day and age. As a woman who was not interested in the standard social norm of getting married, also she made her own way. I also couldn't decide if Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware or Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson was better. Turn of the Key is an adult thriller, and that book just, it completely shocked me. It was very interesting about the twist in that book was so good. And Truly Devious is a YA mystery, and this girl goes off to a kind of an elitist school for geniuses of their field, and Stevie specifically is a mystery buff, and she goes to the Ellingham mansion. Oh my god, I cannot talk. Stevie especially follows an 80-year-old cold case that happened at the Ellingham Academy. Question number 2 is the best sequel that you've read so far in 2020. This is another one that's pretty difficult. I think, actually, no. I have to go with City of Lost Souls. Oh gosh, actually, I might end up having to change that. Oh, I don't know. Okay, there might be 2 for this one. It's a really hard toss-up, but we have City of Lost Souls by Cassandra Clare. I just thought that this is the 5th book in the Mortal Instruments series, and it just stood out to me of all the books I've read so far in the Shadowhunter books. Our characters go through a lot of personal growth and development. There's a real dark atmosphere to it too that wasn't in any of the other books so far. That's really hard to describe, but it's just really palpable. It's really eerie and just a great show of Cassandra Clare's talent for writing a scene and writing complex characters like Sebastian, and playing the long game. Having set up for this book over the span of many books, it took a lot of books since we met him first, just setting up his character to create him. The next book though that I just thought was a really good sequel was probably The Hand on the Wall, which is the last book in the Truly Devious series. That twist, that ending was so good. I just really enjoyed it. So the next question is a new release you haven't read yet, but you want to. I have 2 for this one as well. The first one that came to mind is a book called Havenfall by Sarah Holland. This is about a girl who's like a gatekeeper in the mountains of the 4 corners. It just reminds me of Colorado. There's these 4 corners that meet up, and it's like a gatekeeping to other realms. This is something she has been working for her whole life, and that prospect becomes threatened. It just sounds so good. The next book I really would like to read is called The Raven and the Dove by Caitlin Davis. This is about a race of people who fly, and they live in floating kingdoms. But it also hints at a kingdom below, at the sea level or in the sea. I'm not sure, but it sounded super interesting. So I'm really intrigued. I would really like to read that book. The next question is most anticipated release for the second half of the year. If you've been hanging around my channel, you know I've been doing a whole series of new releases for each month, but I have since fallen off the bandwagon of that really quickly. So I haven't been keeping up with what books will be coming out. To answer this question, I had to look it up, see what's coming out. And the one I know right off the bat, I am super excited for the new Twilight book called Midnight Sun. Unfortunately, this cover was horrible. When we heard that they were coming out with this book, my husband was like, do we want to pre-order it? And I was like, that cover though, so I don't know why. I guess I read somewhere that there is actually a story behind it. I didn't actually read the article, so I don't know. but that's why I haven't pre-ordered it yet. I do really want to read it. I actually, back when it was this big scandal that this book had been released but it wasn't finished, it was just a partial draft, I have read that a couple of times. So I cannot wait to see like if any of that has changed, if it's that but just added on to it and made into an ending. I don't know if it's going to be like a tiny little novella or if it's going to be like a solid book. I cannot wait. The next question is, what is the biggest disappointment of the year? That definitely has to go to The Woman in the Window by AJ Finn. I really did not like this book, and it's really disappointing because I thought that I definitely would. I talked about this book a lot. I don't know if I need to like sum it up. Basically, it's a woman who has agoraphobia. So she hasn't been out of her house in like a year. She spends her days like peeping in on the neighbors through her window. And then she witnesses a crime, and there we have the thriller mystery aspect of this. What I didn't like about it, there wasn't enough peeping Tom scenarios in this book. It turned into her abusing drugs and alcohol and doing the same thing every single day, and it's just getting worse and worse. And it was really boring. And then the twist really just didn't feel that twisty. It was not that thrilling. It was, I wouldn't say exactly predictable. It was just kind of like, oh, okay. All of this book for that. I did not like this book at all. The next question is, what is the biggest surprise of the year? For this one, I ended up putting Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which my husband actually has upstairs, but I do have the dust jacket down here to hold up. But The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, I was really surprised by this book because I didn't expect it to be over 500 pages. I thought it was going to be a small novella, and I just thought it would be a companion to the books. I thought, you know, it'd be decent. This book I ended up really liking more than I thought I would, so it was a surprise. If you don't know, this is a prequel to The Hunger Games, and this is showcasing how Snow, like the up and coming of President Snow, or at least a small glimpse into his life at university, the 10th Hunger Games. Over that period. So good. However, I could go with one of those books that were out of my comfort zone, like City of Girls, because as I said, I think that was probably the one that was out of my comfort zone the most, and the fact that I loved it so much, and it just kept me thinking about her like many days after, and I wanted to recommend it to everybody. I know a lot of people that I know in real life, they don't like the same like fantasies and stuff that I like, but they like more stuff like that. And so I was like, oh, I actually have a book that I could recommend to them, you know? That was probably a big surprise for me as well. Another one that was actually a really big surprise, and it's also pretty out of my comfort zone. I don't read a lot of books that are about historical events or biographies, but I read The Tattooist of Auschwitz. That book was so good. I just fell in love with Lael. I loved that despite everything, he was courting this woman, and how they got separated, and how he still continued to make it a point to find her, and how they got back together. And like, I loved it. It was just so sweet. But I think even more so, I really liked seeing, no one likes seeing that terrible things happen to people, but it happened. And I guess I just think that was really interesting. His position, appointed to the position of putting tattoos on his fellow man, like, and how degrading that is for him. Because he was a tattooist, it offered him a little bit more leeway. He got to have a private bag, and he was able to get some goods and medicine into the prisoners in the camp. You just kind of see a different side of it. So it was so good all around. The next question is, favorite new author, debut, or new to you? Honestly, it's really hard to pick a new author, I guess, just because I personally don't like to consider someone like a favorite unless I've read a significant amount of their work. I believe I mentioned Sarah J. Maas last year, so I can't mention her this year. She was new to me last year. I still love her books. Same with Cassandra Clare. I would have picked her, but I've known about her for many years, so she's not new to me. I'm gonna have to probably go with Maureen Johnson because I've read the Truly Devious series. I love her writing style. I loved Stevie. I thought she was so funny. She has like these moments where she kind of has her inner monologue, and it's very like sarcastic and witty, and like It's so funny. I feel like that's my brain talking. I also read, it was at the very bottom of the stack, of course. I also read Let It Snow. This has 3 short stories by John Green, Maureen Johnson, and Lauren Miracle. But the coolest thing about this book is how each of the stories work together. So each of these authors write a side of the story, but they're all interconnected somehow, and you see how they're connected by the end of the book. And it was so good. Yeah, I really like this one.
Post-editing self here. I knew Maureen Johnson's name seemed more familiar. She has also contributed to the Shadowhunter short story collections in the Bane Chronicles, Tales of the Shadowhunter Academy, and Ghosts of the Shadow Market. So I actually have read more from her than I thought. So what do you know?
The next question is your newest fictional crush. And honestly, I don't really have a newest fictional crush. Maybe the closest male character would be Darlington. Now, to be fair, I don't know his character that well. I haven't finished Ninth House, and I'm just kind of recalling his character from the first time I read the book, which isn't very clear, to be fair. But so far, I really like his character. He's like this bright, sunny spot in this darkness, sort of. He's like a silver lining or something. There's something about his character I just really like. He's like this smart, Yale, athletic guy and treats people well. I just like a wholesome guy from Ninth House. Another character I really like is Rune from Crescent City. That's Bryce Quinlan's cousin. I just think there's something about him I really like, but there's something about him that I'm just the fact that he just kind of lets his dad kind of control his life. I guess it's maybe his fault, maybe not his fault. Maybe it will change. I don't know. But I do like Rune. I like his character. I could say Hunt, but I was never on board with the whole Hunt thing. I don't know. He's just got too much baggage. He's a little too broody for my taste. I don't like that kind of... I might have liked that broody kind of character in my past. Like Buffy age, Buffy and Angel age. But I'm kind of over it now that I'm older and wiser. But... so I kind of choose characters that are just, you know, just all around like sweet, good people. Like, so no Hunt, but I could also say Bryce Quinlan too. I love her. Which brings me to the next question. What is your newest favorite character? My newest favorite character is by far, wait a second. Okay, well, my first favorite character is Bryce Quinlan. It's definitely Bryce Quinlan. I love Bryce Quinlan. She's just so awesome. I know she's kind of like got some issues going on and stuff like that, but it's reasonable. She's just a badass. She's really smart. I like that she doesn't just like wear everything on her sleeve. She doesn't always just feel the need to tell everyone what she's doing, why she thinks a certain way. Like, she just does it, and then once the thing that she does is complete, then you see why she did it a certain way or why she was acting a certain way. She seems like she's just goofing off and she's this party girl and stuff like that, but she like plays that up and plays on people's judgment call, but underneath she's got something completely different going on, and I freaking love that. I love that aspect of her character. But she's also not perfect. She has flaws. She's funny, she's witty, she's confident, and she has a really cool pet, Syrinx, and she has really cool friends. So, and she's a really loyal friend too. I really like that. So, the next question is a book that made you cry. Definitely House. I should just keep this book out. Definitely this book again, Crescent City. I just cannot believe what happened in this book. I think honestly, I'm still in denial. I don't know if it like made me cry, but another book that was just incredibly sad was The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. I know it's obvious how tragic this book is, but I'm just thoroughly scarred for life about how this woman's mental health was dealt with. From her mom's get over it attitude, are you done throwing a temper tantrum? That was a comment she made about her depression. To the doctor who she was just supposed to go in for an appointment and talk to, and this doctor was like kind of brushing off anything she was saying, was just like, okay, and ordered her shock treatments. And they just kept doing it over and over to her. And the doctors were like, oh, this shouldn't hurt at all. You just go to sleep. But inside, like, it hurt super bad. Like, the details that went into that were just so changed me for life. On the other hand, written so long, because this event happened so long ago, it's understandable that the doctors and nurses and stuff, like, they just didn't know any better. They didn't know what the hell they were doing. And just mental health was just so misunderstood back then. And that's really sad too. To lighten the mood, the next question is a book that made you happy. This one is going to have to be a book I checked out from the library called Be Prepared. There was about 3 in here that, I mean, there's a lot of books that make me happy, obviously, but I think just all around, I have to mention, because it was so good, it brought me all the happy feels all the way around, is this book called Be Prepared. It's a graphic novel. It's pretty dense. It was just so cute and so sweet. What it's about, so it's about this little Greek girl. She doesn't have a lot of friends that are like her, and she goes to like this birthday party. They do things a certain way, you know, like they slumber party and, you know, cake and ice cream and pizza and stuff like that, whatever. She's so excited. She wants to fit in. She invites them over for her birthday party, but her Greek heritage separates her. Her birthday isn't the same because her mom doesn't know how to do it any other way, so she kind of tries to do the birthday party thing, but it's just different because they're Greek. The kids that were invited aren't used to it, and so they end up leaving before the sleepover's over, and so it makes her feel really left out. So she tries to so she finds this summer camp with other girls that are like her that are Greek, but she finds that things are almost worse and she feels even more left out, despite being with other kids that are the same, you know, culture and customs as her. This camp was not what she was expecting at all also, and it's kind of funny. It's just so good. It's so cute. I found myself there for a while just like wanting to leap into the pages and be her friend that she desperately needed. The next question is the most beautiful book that you bought so far this year. One, I'm just really simple and like black is my favorite color. So I really like this cover. I don't know why. I don't know what it is. It's simple. It's just black. I like it. Honestly, I like the cover that has like the blue-green snake on it, but I'm not fancy. I didn't get that copy. I got this copy. But either way, I like them both. I'm kind of moody when it comes to favorites. This one I'm gonna have to go with the prettiest one. And I think it's also because it's summer right now, and this just screams summer. And I know this takes place in Italy, but it also has very Florida tropical vibes to me. So yeah, but that is The House at the Edge of Night, and it has these really cool flowers, this like aqua blue color. I love it. It also kind of has like a retro feel, or like, so the last question, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? I think it's obvious, but I want to finish the Shadowhunter series books. I don't actually think that it's too ambitious, except for the fact that the next series are by far the longest books. All 3 of them are super long. Tales of the Shadowhunter Academy, that's a pretty beefy book as well. I'm just gonna grab them and you can see how big they are. We're gonna stack these for you so you can see. I have these left, and I'm actually still missing a book, and I have the Bane Chronicles upstairs. So technically I'm still missing 2 books off of this stack. I think I can do all of this in 6 months. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. I have to just read at least a little bit more than a book a month, and I could do it. I'm kind of like breaking up my reading for the summer because I want to do some summer reading, but I think come August I'm going to like really tackle this stack. Woo, my leg is hurting really bad. Okay, so that's my biggest goal, is I have to read those. So I think it's kind of doable. There is some other readings I want to do. That wraps up this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, you can leave me a thumbs up and hit subscribe if you like. That would be awesome. I very, very much appreciate the support. And thank you so much for watching. Bye.